The Modern Relevance of Malcolm X's The Ballot or the Bullet by Kennedy Hurd. Malcolm X delivered the Ballot or the Bullet speech in 1964, a time of intense racial tension. Just months earlier, the Civil Rights Act was introduced. African Americans were being denied voting rights across the South, facing segregation, poverty, and violence. Malcolm's message stated that the time for compromise was over. Either America would grant justice through the ballot or face the consequences of ignoring that demand. The ballot. Malcolm argued that voting was a powerful tool to demand rights and challenge systemic oppression, but only if Black Americans used it strategically. The bullet, or self-defense. If political means were blocked or ineffective, Malcolm insisted on the right to defend oneself by any means necessary, rejecting forced passivity. Urgency and action, or fast action. He criticized complacency and encouraged immediate active participation in fighting injustice. Here are a few quotes to me that stood out that connect to today's society. One is, you put them first and they put you last. Another, you don't have to be nonviolent with nobody who is violent with you. The main one that stood out to me was, we want freedom by any means necessary. Malcolm X emphasized, the ballot is your weapon. If you don't use it, you are going to be forced to use the bullet. Today, access to abortion, LGBTQ+ rights, voting rights, and more are being decided through elected officials and Supreme Court appointments. Malcolm's message reminds us that voting is still one of the most powerful tools that citizens have, and that ignoring it can lead to greater oppression. He warned against being deceived by politicians who make promises but do nothing to create real change. Many feel betrayed when politicians claim to support reproductive rights, but then fail to implement them into law or stop harmful court decisions like the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Malcolm X's call to hold leaders accountable, no matter their party, is still relevant today. Malcolm made it clear, Black Americans had the right to defend themselves. Today, we see echoes of this through the Black Lives Matter protests. While protesters march peacefully, the response is often militarized. The message behind Malcolm's bullet wasn't about violence, it was about urgency. When the system ignores peaceful action, people demand justice by any means necessary. One of the most urgent systemic reform movements of our time is defund the police. But what does that actually mean? At its core, this movement calls for a reallocation of resources, taking funding from police departments and investing it into mental health care, education, housing, and community programs that actually prevent crime. Malcolm X warned us about trusting the system that have always brutalized Black communities. He didn't believe in waiting patiently for justice. He believed in changing the system from the ground up. Over 60 years later, we ask, how far have we come and how much of this message still rings true in today's fight for racial justice? This speech challenges us to recognize that the fight for justice requires both participation in democratic processes and readiness to demand accountability. Today's activists carry forward Malcolm X's legacy by demanding change through voting, protest, and community empowerment. His message reminds us the struggle for equality is ongoing and every generation must engage actively.